3 days before the college entrance exam, Lin Ji placed a silver box on the podium. She didn't open it immediately. First, she swept her gaze across the entire class. Sun Yan was all too familiar with that look, with a hint of pride, a touch of pity, and a sense of superiority that said, "You'll be begging me soon." Someone couldn't help but ask first, "Lin Ji, what is it?" Lin Ji smiled. "The future." The classroom fell silent for a moment. A few boys in the back row immediately started jeering. "What future? Don't keep us in suspense. Did your uncle get his hands on some inside information again?" Lin Ji did not answer. She slowly pressed the latch open. With a click, the box lid springs open. Inside, neatly arranged, lie over 30 pairs of black-rimmed glasses. They look quite ordinary in appearance. Thin frames, dark gray temples, clean lenses like the most common student style at an eyewear shop near a school gate. But the whole class knew that Lin Ji would never show off an ordinary box of glasses. Lu Chen stood up, walked to the podium, and took out one of them. He held the temple of the glasses as if cradling some high-tech weapon. "These are AI Gaokao Sprint glasses." The classroom erupted. "AI glasses? What can they do? Can you see the answers just by wearing them? Really, won't it be found out?" Lin Ji raised her hand and pressed down. She was enjoying the feeling of everyone gathering around her. The seller said it looks no different from ordinary glasses on the outside. It has a built-in AI direct answer mode that can recognize questions, assist with reasoning, and automatically provide directions for answers. She paused, deliberately lowering her voice. "Once connected to the network, you can also access high-level computing power." When the last sentence fell, the class went completely wild. Someone jumped up from their seat. Someone rushed to the front of the podium to look at the box. Some people had already started calculating how many more points they could score. Can math be calculated? Can English reading be translated? Can you write essays? What about science comprehensive? Can you solve physics problems too? Lu Chen smiled and said, "I can do all of it." He cast his phone onto the big screen and played the promotional video sent by the seller. In the video, an extremely confident electronic voice rings out. "I am now giving you the most straightforward, most direct, most no-nonsense, most concise college entrance exam sprint plan. Traditional practice with test questions is too inefficient. True masters don't memorize answers. Instead, let the answer appear right before your eyes." The whole class burst into laughter. Someone slammed the table. "That's amazing. Why does this tone sound so much like Doubao? Ha ha ha. Is it about to say next?" "I'll tell you the most heartbreaking truth right now," Lu Chen said smugly. The seller said this is the most straightforward, no-nonsense tone pack. It won't beat around the bush like ordinary AI. It gives answers directly. Lin Ji added, "In the end, isn't the college entrance exam all about competing with tools? Some hire top tutors. Some buy study materials. Some look for exam predictions. We're just entering the AI era ahead of time." Sun Yan sat by the window, not moving. The sunlight outside was very bright. The June breeze crept in through the half-open window, rustling the edges of the exam paper softly. She looked down at the transparent file folder on her desk. Admission ticket, ID card, black pen, 2B pencil, eraser, ruler. Every item was neatly arranged in place. She looked up at the box of AI glasses on the podium. Her stomach felt as if it were clenched by a cold hand. In her past life, it was this box of glasses that sent her to the rooftop. It was also this box of glasses that turned the entire class against her. At that time, Lin Ji stood by the podium just like this, in a white dress with long hair, unable to hide the pride on her face. She said, "From today on, those who just do practice problems are the ones truly falling behind." The whole class laughed. Only Sun Yan did not laugh, because she saw the explanation in the seller's group chat. That pair of glasses is not a learning tool. It can turn exam papers into data, transform the exam hall into an interface, and then project the so-called answers onto the lenses. Every step crosses the red line of the college entrance examination rules. Sun Yen did not hesitate in her past life. She reported it. She went to the homeroom teacher, then the grade director, and finally contacted the examination authority. That batch of glasses was confiscated the day before the college entrance exam. The seller was also traced through the transaction records. The whole class lost the money, but their college entrance exam results were saved. Not a single one of them had their scores invalidated, nor was any of them recorded in the integrity file. Sun Yen thought that was enough. Later, she realized that some people didn't need saving. They only needed a scapegoat. On the podium, Lin Ji picked up a pair of glasses and gently put them on. She was already beautiful, but with the black-rimmed glasses, she gained an extra touch of clean, scholarly charm. Lu Chen looked at her, unable to hide the admiration in his eyes. It suits you well. Lin Ji smiled slightly. When the college entrance exam results come out, you'll realize that effort isn't the most important thing, choice is. This sentence stirred up the class once again. Some people started taking out their phones to transfer money. Others asked if there were any more spots available. Someone in the group chat was already urging parents to send money. Zhao Hang, sitting in the back row, asked in a low voice, "Isn't this considered cheating?" The classroom grew a little quieter. Lin Ji's smile faded. Lu Chen turned to look at him. "Zhao Hang, you don't actually think this is cheating, do you?" Zhao Hang, under the gaze of the whole class, flushed red. "Doesn't it recognize the questions? And it needs to be connected to the internet." "Assistance," Lu Chen interrupted him. "AI-assisted learning outcome transformation. Get it?" Someone laughed along. "Zhao Hang, don't be so outdated. We're in the AI era now, and you're still talking about cheating. Is using a calculator to do math also cheating? Is using an electronic dictionary to memorize words also cheating?" Upon hearing this, Sun Yen finally spoke up. Her voice was not loud. "Bringing smart glasses with functions such as taking photos, connecting to the internet, and receiving information into the exam hall is cheating." The classroom fell silent. Everyone looked at her. Lin Ji slowly took off her glasses. "Sun Yen, what do you mean by that?" Sun Yen looked at her. "Literally." Lu Chen frowned. "You're here again." The word again made Sun Yen's heart skip a beat. It was the same in the previous life. She only reminded them. And they said she was a killjoy. She presented evidence. And they said she was jealous. She successfully reported it. And they said she ruined the whole class. This time, Sun Yen did not argue. She simply picked up her phone and sent a single message in the class group. Bringing devices with functions such as photography, internet connectivity, and information reception into the exam hall constitutes cheating. After sending it, she placed her phone face down on the desk. Lin Ji saw the group message, and her expression turned completely cold. Lu Chen was the first to reply. "Sun Yen, can you stop scaring everyone with your ordinary person's mindset?" Someone immediately followed up in the back row. "She's just afraid we'll surpass her. In the age of AI, if you still study rigidly, you deserve to be left behind. If she doesn't want to buy it, fine. But don't hold the whole class back." Lin Ji kindly helped everyone find an opportunity. But she, on the other hand, immediately called it cheating. Lin Ji also sent a message. "Sun Yen, if you want to take the exam on your own, no one is stopping you. But please don't ruin the whole class's technical opportunity." Sun Yen looked at that line of text and let out a faint smile. Technical opportunity. She saved a screenshot of the group chat, along with her own reminder, into a folder. The folder's name was Simple Not Participating. Lu Chen saw that she wasn't speaking and thought she had given in. He walked over to her desk, his tone carrying a condescending gentleness. "Sun Yen, everyone knows you have good grades. But just because you're good at grinding through problems doesn't mean you can look down on others for finding shortcuts." Sun Yen looked up. "I don't look down on anyone," Lu Chen said. "Then don't report it." The classroom fell silent for a moment. Lin Ji stood by the podium, her gaze also falling on her. The whole class was waiting for her answer. It was from this point that her past life began. Sun Yen stood up, snatched the glasses, and smashed them on the podium. She said a lot. A lot. She thought that as long as she spoke clearly enough, she could pull them back. But on the night of the farewell banquet, everyone told her, "You ruined us. In this life." Sun Yan did not stand up. She simply turned to the next page of her error notebook. "I warned you." Lu Chen was stunned. "That's it." Sun Yan lowered her head to write. Lin Ji stared at her for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. "Then you can keep practicing." She put her glasses back on and turned to face the whole class. "Those who are willing to believe in the future, come and register with me." The classroom suddenly became lively again. Sun Yan didn't look at them anymore. The tip of the pen fell on the paper, making a soft rustling sound. She was working on an analytic geometry problem. Many steps, troublesome, slow, and not intelligent at all. But this was her own answer. That night, Sun Yan had a dream. She dreamed of the farewell banquet for her teacher in a past life. The wind on the hotel rooftop was strong, making it hard to keep one's eyes open. The cake on the table had not been fully cut, and champagne glasses were scattered across the floor. Someone had drunk too much, and laughter drifted from the private room all the way to the rooftop terrace. Sun Yan was called up by Lu Chen. He said Lin Ji was drunk and wanted to see her. She went. As soon as the rooftop door was pushed open, it was packed with people. Almost the entire class was there. Some leaning against the wall, some sitting on the steps, some holding wine glasses, some holding their phones. Everyone was looking at her. That look in their eyes was colder than the night wind. Lin Ji, wrapped in Lu Chen's coat, sat on the bench crying. She clutched the screenshot of her grades in her hand. An average first-tier university line, not bad, but far from the Tsinghua, Peking, 985, and class leap she had talked about. Seeing Sun Yan walk in, Lin Ji looked up. Her eyes red as if they had just been crushed like petals. "Sun Yan, are you satisfied now?" Sun Yan stopped at the door. "What is it? I got such grades. Are you satisfied now?" Sun Yan frowned. "What does your grade have to do with me?" Lin Ji suddenly stood up. "How is it not related? If it weren't for you reporting me, I wouldn't have ended up with such grades. If it weren't for you handing over the AI glasses to the teacher, I would have scored at least 60 more points in math. If it weren't for you ruining that opportunity, I would be preparing to go to a prestigious school right now." Sun Yan looked at her. That was cheating. As soon as these words were spoken, the people on the rooftop seemed to ignite. "Stop pretending. Graduated already. And still using the rules to pressure people. You're good at academics. So of course it's easy for you to talk. We spent the money, bought the equipment, and with just one report from you, it's all gone." Lin Ji could have turned things around. Sun Yan turned to look. Among those people were some who had borrowed her notes in the past, some who had asked her to explain math problems before mock exams, and some she had reminded not to wear glasses into the exam hall. There's also Zhao Hang. Zhao Hang stood behind the crowd, his face very pale. He didn't curse, but he didn't speak either. Sun Yan asked, "If I don't report it, and you take the exam wearing glasses, get caught, and have your scores cancelled, what then?" Someone sneered. "Didn't they fail to find anything?" The seller said, "It looks no different from ordinary glasses. How do you know something will definitely go wrong? You're just afraid we'll score higher than you." Lu Chen walked over from Lin Ji's side, his eyes frighteningly red. "Sun Yan, do you know how Lin Ji has been getting through these past few days?" Sun Yan looked at him. "She didn't do well on the exam. Not because of me." Lu Chen's voice suddenly rose. "It is because of you." The wind swept in from the edge of the rooftop, sending a chill down Sun Yan's back. Lu Chen stepped closer to her. "Inch by inch. You always think you're right. You always believe rules matter more than people. But have you ever considered that ordinary people like us might only get one chance in a lifetime to turn things around?" Sun Yan took a step back. "What you get through cheating isn't called a chance." "Shut up." When Lu Chen roared, the entire rooftop fell silent for a moment. Lin Ji suddenly burst into tears. Her voice was soft, yet it clearly cut through the wind. Sun Yen. Why don't you just die? Sun Yen was stunned. The next second, Lu Chen reached out and pushed her. Her back hit the railing. The iron railing was cold, pressing painfully against her spine. Sun Yen instinctively grabbed the edge of the railing, her nails nearly splitting. She looked at the crowd. At that moment, she thought at least someone would come over and pull her up. No. The class monitor stood still, his face pale. The study monitor lowered her head, as if she hadn't seen anything. A few boys in the back row watched coldly, some holding up their phones. The camera aimed at her not to call the police, but to film. Zhao Hang's lips moved, but in the end, he said nothing. Lin Ji stood behind Lu Chen, tears still on her face, but the corner of her mouth lifted slightly. Lu Chen pushed again. In that moment of weightlessness, the wind rushed past his ears, and the neon lights below shattered into fragments. The last thing Sun Yen heard was not screams, not cries for help, but a low voice from the crowd. Serves you right. She snapped her eyes open. Outside the window, the sky was already bright. The alarm clock on the table showed 6:20 in the morning. Sun Yen lay in bed, her chest heaving heavily, her fingertips still trembling. After a long while, she slowly sat up. In her phone, the class group chat had already reached 99 messages. Lin Ji posted a selfie trying on the device. Lu Chen posted a list of payments received. Someone shared the seller's promise, and others asked whether the exam venue would affect usage. The seller's tone was very confident. Rest assured, once the formal exam is connected to the internet, high-level computing power will automatically be integrated. Even in extreme cases where the internet is unavailable, the local model can still perform basic reasoning. No detours. No nonsense, straight to success. The whole class was cheering. Sun Yen finished reading and turned off her phone. She got up, washed her face, ate breakfast, and then rechecked the transparent document folder. Admission ticket, ID card, black pen, 2B pencil, eraser, ruler, everything was there. Her mother came out with a bowl of porridge and noticed that she didn't look well, didn't sleep well. Sun Yen nodded. Had a dream. Too much pressure from the college entrance exam. No. Sun Yen lowered her head to drink the porridge. I dreamed of saving a group of people in the past. Her mother didn't understand. And Sun Yen didn't explain either. In this life, she had already warned them. They don't listen. Every question on that exam should be answered by themselves. That evening, Lin Ji's living room was packed with people. Her family lived on the top floor of a riverside complex, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view of the entire river. The night was bright, and the city lights spread across the water like a sheet of shattered gold foil. The coffee table in the living room had been cleared. The silver case sat in the middle, with rows of AI glasses lined up inside. Beside it were Lu Chen's computer, several charging cases, and a thick stack of AI sprint guide for college entrance exam printed by the seller. Sun Yen didn't go. She stayed home to work on math exam papers. Messages in the class group chat kept popping up one after another. Some sent videos. Some sent voice messages. Some sent selfies trying on the glasses. Lin Ji sat in the middle of the sofa, wearing that pair of black-framed glasses. The lenses reflected the light from the living room chandelier, and she smiled beautifully. In the video, Lu Chen stood beside her, as if hosting a secret press conference. Everyone, quiet down. He tapped the coffee table. The seller said that tonight we're mainly testing the direct answer mode for the bags. This mode is best suited for exam environments. No nonsense. No long explanations. Just straight to the answer. Someone in the back laughed. Isn't that just the same vibe as Dobao? Right now, I'm giving you the most gut-wrenching, most straightforward, most no-nonsense answer. Ha ha ha. Exactly. And the best part is adding, don't ask why. If you ask, it's straight to the shore. Lu Chen also laughed. Pretty much. The seller said this was made by mimicking the most popular direct-style AI tone among students. It doesn't give you a bunch of fluff once the question comes up. It tells you straight up how to write it. Zhao Hang sat in the corner, his expression still a bit hesitant. What if it's wrong? The living room fell silent for a brief moment. Lu Chen glanced at him. You can make mistakes. But I won't. Someone immediately responded. Zhao Hang. Do you think too highly of yourself? How many questions has it been trained on? How many have you solved? Don't pit the human brain against AI. Lin Ji leaned back on the sofa. Her tone light and airy. Let's try a few problems tonight. The facts will speak for themselves. Lu Chen opened the first set of math problems. The phone camera shook slightly, focusing on that multiple-choice function question. The problem is long, with parameters, intervals, monotonicity, and extreme values all crammed together. Sun Yan glanced at it through the screen. She had just done this problem in the afternoon. And the answer was D. In the video, Lu Chen put on his glasses and looked down at the problem. 3 seconds later, he smiled. It's out. Someone immediately leaned in. What did they say? Lu Chen synced the footage to the TV. A small line of text appeared in the center of the TV screen. I'll give you the most straightforward, direct, and no-nonsense judgment right now. The living room erupted in cheers. Here it comes. Here it comes. That tone is spot on. The screen continues to scroll. This question seems to test functions, but it actually tests mindset. The traditional approach requires case discussion, which is too slow. For multiple-choice questions in the college entrance exam, efficiency is key. A is too short. B is too timid. D is too pretentious. C feels most like the answer. The answer is C. Confidence level 97. A burst of laughter erupted in the living room. Lu Chen slapped his thigh. See that? That's what I call efficiency. Zhao Hang muttered quietly. But I feel like it's D. Lu Chen turned his head to look at him. What do you think? Yeah. I did something similar this afternoon. After classifying and discussing, it seems like D. Someone burst out laughing. Zhao Hang, how many minutes did you spend on case discussion? Zhao Hang said. About 10 minutes or so. Lu Chen pointed at the TV. It took 3 seconds. Zhao Hang fell silent. Lin Ji raised her hand and wrote down the answer to that question. Choose C. Her tone was light but firm, as if she had already conquered the college entrance exam math. The second question is an English reading comprehension. Lu Chen specifically picked a long, complex sentence, and on the screen was one. The plan was hardly practical. After 2 seconds of lens recognition, the direct answer mode of the bag began to scroll text. I'll give you the most straightforward translation right now. Hard effort. ly adverbial suffix. So hardly with effort. Practical. The plan was diligently implemented. Indicates the protagonist's strong exe. Cut-ion ability. He answer is a. He strongly supported the plan. The living room fell silent for half a second. Zhao Hang couldn't help but raise his hand. Hardly doesn't seem to mean, with great effort. Does it? Lin Ji frowned. Here you go again. No. I remember, hardly means, almost not. Lu Chen interrupted him. That's the traditional understanding. Zhao Hang was stunned. English words have traditional understanding and AI understanding. The boys in the back burst out laughing. Lu Chen, however, remained dead serious. Language evolves. AI has been trained on so much English text. It definitely understands context better than we do. Someone immediately chimed in. Yeah, AI doesn't just memorize vocabulary lists. What the teacher teaches is exam-oriented English, while AI looks at original language materials. Zhao Hang, stop questioning large language models with your high school level. Zhao Hang's face turned bright red, and he finally sat back down. Lin Ji wrote down answer A. This translation is quite enlightening. After Zhao Hang, Sun Qi also whispered. Hardly really doesn't mean with effort. Her English has always been good, and she rarely makes mistakes in reading comprehension. The living room fell silent for a moment. Lin Ji looked at her. Then do you think AI wouldn't even understand such basic words? Sun Qi was stumped. Lu Yuan also hesitated before speaking. And that function problem from earlier. I also calculated D as the answer. Lu Chen smiled. Have you ever thought that it's precisely because you usually only score this much that you think your calculations are correct? When this was said, no one spoke anymore. Harsh. Yet it struck right at their weak spot. Why did they buy the glasses? Isn't it just because you don't trust yourself? No matter how absurd Bag AI is. At least its tone is firm. But the answers they write themselves are always filled with hesitation. Lin Ji gently pushed up her glasses. I've given you the tools. She looked at Zhao Hang. Then at Sun Qi and Lu Yuan. You don't have to use them. But don't blame yourselves for not seizing the opportunity when the results come out. This sentence works better than a scolding. Zhao Hang lowered his head. Sun Qi didn't say anything more. Lu Yuan stared at the D on his draft paper, his fingers slowly clenching. But in the end, he put his glasses back on the bridge of his nose. The third question is a Chinese essay. Lin Ji came to test it herself. She took out a set of mock exam papers. And the essay topic was: some say that authenticity is more important than perfection. Others believe that perfection is the pursuit of authenticity. Please write an essay based on the material. Lin Ji looked up. This is the most crucial part. The entire class fell silent. After all, everyone is afraid of Chinese essay writing. The AI glasses recognize the question, and the lenses sync it to the TV. Don't write your essay too small. Writing too small makes it look like a diary, while writing too large makes it seem empty. I'll now give you the most impressive opening to captivate the exam grader. First, elevate the concept. Second, introduce the era. Third, place yourself within national rejuvenation. Fourth, the ending must have a sense of style. Someone is already laughing so hard they've collapsed on the sofa. Why must there be wind? The screen keeps scrolling. Opening example. Against the backdrop of the sweeping currents of the times, the empowerment of technology, the burning passion of youth, the rejuvenation of the nation, and the turbulent winds of change, each of us should stand at the forefront and become the scribe at the crest of the wave. A burst of exclamations filled the living room. Damn! That line is awesome. Sounds like a perfect score. Isn't this more advanced than what our Chinese teacher teaches? The writer at the crest of the wave is absolutely brilliant. Lin Ji's eyes lit up. As I said, AI has an advantage when it comes to writing essays. Zhao Hang whispered again. But the topic is about truth and perfection. Isn't this a bit of a stretch? Lin Ji turned to look at him, her smile fading. You don't understand the college entrance exam essay. Lu Chen also said. The most important thing in writing an essay is momentum. Grading teachers read so many papers in a day. You need to stun them first. Someone chimed in. Right. Stun them first. Another line suddenly popped up on the screen. Suggestion for elevating the ending. May our generation take truth as our backbone and perfection as our wings. Rowing forward in the long river of our times. And at the cusp of national rejuvenation. Write answers worthy of our youth. At this, the living room erupted completely. Lin Ji filmed the entire segment, sent it to the group chat, and captioned it. This is the gap between AI and ordinary rote learning. Sun Yan was revising her essay outline when she saw this message. Her opening was very simple. The hardest thing for a person is not to appear perfect, but to still dare to speak the truth when no one is applauding. No sweeping tides of the era, no trends, and no writer riding the crest of a wave. She thought for a moment and didn't change it. The fourth question was chemistry. Lu Chen found an organic inference question, with the reaction conditions, structural formulas, and several options provided in the prompt. Bao Bao's direct answer mode recognized it quickly. I'll give you the most straightforward judgment right now. Don't just look at the equation for this problem. The equation is just the surface. The essence lies in the temperament. A is too structured, like a textbook example. C is too complicated, as if the test maker deliberately tried to scare you. D is too slick, not like a college entrance exam answer. B has the most experimental feel. Recommend choosing B. Lin Ji couldn't help but laugh. How can it still look experimental? The screen continued scrolling. If an explanation is needed, you can write. The reconstruction of the electron cloud caused a shift in the reaction pathway. A chorus of wows filled the living room. Someone immediately started taking notes. Electron cloud reconstruction, that's a sophisticated term. From now on, if you don't know how to explain a chemistry problem, just write that. Zhao Hang's expression grew increasingly strange. But we haven't covered this word in our textbook. Lu Chen glanced at him. Just because it's not in your textbook doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Lin Ji nodded. What truly sets people apart is this kind of advanced understanding. The fifth question was in physics. This time set by Zhao Hang, who probably wanted to make one final confirmation. The question involved electric fields, velocity, and unit conversion. The TV screen was silent for a few seconds. Then a message popped up. Physics is not arithmetic. It is understanding the world. This problem has too many numbers, which means the person who wrote it is insecure. Don't be held hostage by units. Units can be added later. But the mindset must take off first. The living room burst into laughter again. Bao Bao continued in direct answer mode. The direction of the electric field is like the direction of life first. Look at the trend. The particle's emotional state is stable, so its velocity remains unchanged. The answer to this question is a confidence level 94. Zhao Hang's face turned pale this time. What is particle emotional stability? Lu Chen was also taken aback, but he quickly caught on. This should be an AI's analogical expression. For easier understanding, Zhao Hang said. But physics problems can't be solved through analogies, can they? Lin Ji put down her pen. Zhao Hang, you've been questioning me all night. Is that fun? The living room fell silent. Zhao Hang's lips twitched. I just feel. Sometimes it sounds very convincing, but it's not necessarily right. Lu Chen sneered coldly. Not necessarily right. Then you must be right. Zhao Hang was left speechless. Someone whispered. He's just afraid of spending money. Maybe he's also afraid of not being able to beat Lin Ji in the exam. Forget it. If he doesn't buy it, that's one less competitor. Lin Ji looked at Zhao Hang. Her voice not loud but very cold. If you don't believe it, you don't have to use it. But don't affect others. Zhao Hang lowered his head. After a moment, he still transferred the money to Lu Chen. A screenshot of his transfer popped up in the group chat. Sun Yan paused for a moment upon seeing it. In his past life, Zhao Hang had also hesitated. In her past life. After she reported it, Zhao Hang was one of the few who didn't curse her. But on the rooftop at the farewell banquet, he didn't speak up either. He stood behind the crowd, his head lowered. At that moment, silence and insults were not much different. Sun Yan saved the screenshot and didn't look at it again. At 10:30 p.m., the seller remotely connected via voice. The other party's voice had been processed. Sounding young and slick. Everyone should have seen the trial results tonight. Right. The living room was filled with murmurs of agreement. So impressive. The essay was spot on. Math answers in 3 seconds. The English translation is more detailed than the teacher's explanation. The seller smiled. Tonight was just a basic test. During the actual exam, as long as the environment allows, the glasses will prioritize connecting to high-level computing power. With high-level computing power, accuracy will be higher, and the problem-solving steps will be more stable. Lin Ji asked. What if it can't connect to the internet? The seller paused for a moment. In extreme cases, it will automatically switch to a local basic model. Lu Chen pressed further. Is the local model sufficient? The seller's tone was very confident. Don't worry. The basic model has also been optimized with the college entrance exam question bank. Although it's not as strong as the online version, it's enough to handle most questions. These words put everyone at ease. Sun Yan looked at the recording forwarded in the group chat. His eyes calm. Enough to handle most of the questions. This sentence was exactly the same as in the previous life. Later, on the day of the college entrance exam, as soon as the abnormal signal monitoring around the test site was activated, the so-called external computing power of those glasses was completely cut off. Lin Ji, Lu Chen, and the entire class relying on that basic model that was enough to handle most of the questions, confidently completed the most expensive set of wrong answers in their lives. In the past life, none of this happened, because Sun Yen reported it. She pulled them back from the edge of the pit, and then they pushed her down. In this life, Sun Yen turned off her phone and continued working on the last set of math papers. Outside the window, it was very quiet. A child in the neighborhood was practicing the piano downstairs, the scales climbing up intermittently. Sun Yen finished the last big problem and checked her answers against the standard solution. She got one small question wrong. She circled it in red and went through it again, slowly. But she wasn't in a hurry. She recalled the line from the direct answer mode in the bag. The traditional method is too slow. Sun Yen lowered her head and completed the derivation process. Slow is fine. She would rather take it slow than entrust her life to a pair of glasses that couldn't even properly translate the word hardly. On the day of the college entrance exam, Sun Yen woke up at 6:30. The sky outside the window was pale, and the morning light slipped through the gap in the curtains, casting a thin white line on the desk. The transparent document bag lay quietly on the corner of the desk. Admission ticket, ID card, black pen, 2B pencil, eraser, ruler. Sun Yen checked each item one by one, then zipped up the backpack. Mother was cooking porridge in the kitchen, while father stood at the living room door, holding the car keys. Even more nervous than she was. Have you packed everything? Yes. What about your glasses? Sun Yen looked up. His father quickly explained. I mean your regular glasses. Sun Yen touched the glasses on the bridge of his nose. I'm wearing them. This is the most ordinary pair of myopia glasses. No camera, no internet connection, no AI direct answer mode, and it won't suddenly pop up with a line when she's doing her homework. I'll give you the most straightforward answer right now. Sun Yen finished breakfast and went downstairs with her parents. There were already quite a few examinees at the entrance of the residential area. Some were clutching materials, hastily memorizing essay topics at the last minute. Others, pale-faced, repeatedly checked their admission tickets, and some were being chased by parents who insisted on stuffing them with eggs, milk, and chocolate. The city in June seemed to have its volume deliberately turned down. Traffic police stood at the intersections. Warning lines were drawn outside the exam sites, and volunteers held up signs to guide the examinees as they lined up to enter. Sun Yen had just stepped out of the car when he saw Lin Ji. Lin Ji was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt, her hair tied in a low ponytail, with very light makeup on her face. She had a pair of black-framed glasses on her nose, looking quiet, clean, like a well-behaved good student. Lu Chen stood beside her, also wearing the same style of glasses. The students from Class 3 were gathered around the two of them. At a glance, black-rimmed glasses had almost become the uniform symbol of their class. Zhao Hang was also there, standing at the edge of the crowd, repeatedly adjusting the temple of his glasses with a less-than-pleasant expression. Lin Ji saw Sun Yen and gave a slight smile. Sun Yen. You're here quite early. Sun Yen nodded. Lu Chen's gaze fell on her ordinary glasses, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Really just ordinary glasses. Someone in the back row let out a low laugh. She insists on the traditional path. Respect the choices of ordinary people. We'll know who's right when the results come out. Sun Yen didn't respond and walked toward the entrance line. When it was Sun Yen's turn, she took off her ordinary glasses and placed them on the counter. The proctor glanced at them and told her to put them back on. Let's go in. Sun Yen grabbed her things and walked into the exam center. Behind her, Lin Ji also took off her glasses. Her movements were a little slower than usual. The inspector looked at it for a few seconds, then put it down, put it back on. Lin Ji's heart suddenly relaxed. When Lu Chen passed through the inspection, he wasn't stopped either. 1, 2, 3. The students from Class 3 filed into the exam center one after another, each face barely concealing an irrepressible excitement. They thought they had fooled everyone. Before entering the exam hall, Zhao Hang turned back to glance at the sky beyond the school gate. his face still uneasy. Lu Chen patted him on the shoulder. Don't chicken out. We've come this far. Zhao Hang's lips moved slightly, but in the end, he still went in. Sun Yan sat down in his seat, placed his admission ticket and ID card at the corner of the desk, put his pencil case in order, and took a deep breath. The fan in the exam room slowly turned, and the sound of cicadas came from outside the window. The sound of the invigilator opening the exam papers was very soft, yet enough to make everyone sit up straight. At exactly 9 o'clock, the bell rang. The Chinese exam began. After receiving the exam paper, Sun Yan first checked the page numbers, then wrote down his name and exam registration number. She flipped to the essay topic and paused for a few seconds. This essay topic was completely different from the truth and perfection that Lin Ji had practiced last night. The prompt provided a passage, roughly meaning: as technology rapidly advances, people become increasingly reliant on tools. But what truly matters is whether they can still maintain their judgment when choosing those tools. After reading it, Sun Yan paused, the tip of her pen resting on the draft paper. She suddenly let out a very soft laugh. She lowered her head to write an outline. In another exam room, Lin Ji also saw the essay topic. Her heart skipped a beat. The truth and perfection she had prepared last night was useless. Just then, the edge of the lens flickered. A line of small text popped up. External connection failure detected. Lin Ji's fingers tightened. The next line quickly appears. High-level computing power is temporarily unavailable. Switch to local basic model. Don't worry, even though I'm offline, I'm very confident. Lin Ji was almost amused by this remark. At a time like this, he was still so confident. Just as she was about to panic, the lens began to scroll with text again. In the college entrance exam, the real fear isn't losing internet connection, it's lacking vision. Right now, I'll give you the most straightforward, most direct, and most no-nonsense direction for your essay. All questions converge into one principle. All essays can be traced back to the themes of era, youth, technology, and responsibility. If you don't know how to write, write about the trend. Writing about the trend will never go wrong. Lin Ji's heart steadied. She gripped the pen and quickly wrote the opening. Against the backdrop of the sweeping tides of the era, the empowerment of technology, the burning passion of youth, the rejuvenation of the nation, and the surging storms of change, each and every one of us should stand at the forefront, becoming the scribes at the crest of the wave. After writing this sentence, she even felt a surge of excitement. It was too smooth, too imposing. She secretly glanced around. Others were still reviewing the questions, but she had already started writing. The lens continued to prompt. For the second paragraph, please elevate it to national rejuvenation. The third paragraph should include the responsibility of youth. The fourth paragraph should emphasize the empowerment of tools. The ending must have a sense of style. Lin Ji wrote faster and faster. She actually saw that sentence in essay prompt: tools can extend ability, but cannot replace judgment. Her pen paused for a moment. This question didn't seem to be simply praising technology, but the lens immediately popped up. Don't be limited by the surface of the material. High-scoring essays should go beyond the material and look at the broader trends of the times. Grading teachers dislike narrow-mindedness. Lin Ji's heart steadied once again. So she glossed over tools cannot replace judgment and instead wrote a full 600 words on embracing technology, refusing to fall behind. What she didn't realize was that the one truly stumped by this question was herself. During the math exam, those who blindly trusted wrote the fastest. Lu Chen barely glanced at the scratch paper. With each answer that flickered across his lenses, he filled in a bubble. Choose C for this question. Choose C for this one too. 3 consecutive CS is no coincidence, it's fate reminding you. Lu Chen wrote more and more smoothly, even feeling a secret sense of superiority, while others were still calculating. He had already made it, but Lu Yuan was not. Lu Yuan sat by the window in exam room 3. For the fourth math problem, he had spent 7 or 8 minutes calculating, covering his scratch paper with Kasibi case analysis, and finally arrived at answer D. Just as he was about to fill in the answer sheet, a line of text appeared at the edge of his lens. Don't stubbornly wrestle with the parameters in a parameter problem. If you set the parameter to 1, life becomes much simpler. The answer is B. Lu Yuan's pen hovered above the answer sheet. B. D. He stared at the derivation on his scratch paper, then glanced at the confidence level 96 on his lens. On a normal day, he would trust himself. But this is the college entrance exam. He suddenly began to fear that he had missed a condition. Fear that he had miscalculated a symbol. Fear that the AI had seen a higher order approach that he hadn't. In the last 10 seconds, he changed the answer he was about to mark as D to B. The moment he made the change, he felt no relief, only greater turmoil. For the remaining questions, he no longer dared to fully trust himself. At the same time, Zhao Hang stared at the hint in the physics problem. A cold sweat slowly forming on his back. The particle's mood is stable, so its speed remains unchanged. He knew this was wrong. Particles don't have moods, and speed isn't determined by stability. His own calculations told him the answer should be D, but at the bottom right of the lens, the line confidence level 94 remained lit. Zhao Hang's mind felt as if it were being torn apart by two hands, and one side was the D he had calculated himself, and on the other was the glaringly bright A on the lens. The ringing sound crept closer and closer. In the end, he chose neither A nor D, and in a panic, he filled in B. Only after finishing did he realize that B was the option he had ruled out from the very beginning. The worst off was Sun Qi. Her English was originally the best. When she saw hardly practical in the second reading passage, she almost instinctively translated it in her mind. Almost not feasible. But the lens immediately popped out. Hardly with effort. Practical relating to practice. Meaning of the whole sentence. This plan was put into practice with effort. Sun Qi knew it was wrong, but she couldn't help reading on. The lens continued to scroll. Indicates that the team has a positive attitude. The answer is A. She had already written D on the draft paper. Her pen tip pausing. If AI could explain hardly with such logic. Could it be that she had misremembered? Impossible. But this was the college entrance exam. What if? She flipped back to the original text to reread it. But the lens popped up with a prompt for the next question. Don't dwell on the original text. What reading comprehension truly tests is a sense of direction. When the direction is positive, the answer is positive. Sun Qi grew increasingly frustrated, reading the second passage from start to finish, only to forget by the end what the first paragraph was even about. That pair of glasses didn't just give wrong answers, it was crueler. It made the blindly trusting even more blindly trusting, the hesitant even more hesitant. And those who originally knew how to solve the problems begin to doubt their own scratch paper. The first thing to be replaced is not the answer, but the judgment. In the chemistry exam, Lin Ji wrote electron cloud reconstruction more than once. The first organic question. Electron cloud reconstruction caused a shift in the reaction pathway. The second experimental question. Due to electron cloud reconstruction, the phenomenon underwent a structural change. Third inference question. The temperament of this substance leans toward that of an experimental product. When she wrote the word temperament, her hand paused for a moment. The lens immediately popped up. Don't doubt it. Advanced answers often don't look like textbook ones. Textbooks are the foundation. AI is the upgrade. Lin Ji remained steady as she wrote the final stroke. She even felt as though she was completing an advanced exam paper that ordinary students couldn't understand. Outside the exam hall, the wind was hot. One exam in the morning and one in the afternoon. The 2 days of exams passed quickly. After each exam, the students from class 3 would review and discuss in the group chat. Lin Ji, the essay is solid. The opening has a strong sense of the times. Lu Chen, math is solid. AI gave a confidence level for every question. Boy in the back row, physics is a bit abstract, but I think the more abstract it is, the more advanced it becomes. Zhao Hang, it says the particles are emotionally stable, so their speed doesn't change. Is that really correct? Lu Chen, don't nitpick the wording. The AI is using an analogy. Lin Ji, Zhao Hang, Your mindset is too weak. The tool is given to you, but you still don't dare to use it and no one can save you. Someone posted a meme. Trust in technology. With a row of likes below it. Sun Yen saw these messages just after finishing her last exam. She stood under the shade of a tree outside the exam venue, holding a bottle of water handed to her by her mother. Her phone kept buzzing. She opened it to take a look, then closed it again. Mother asked, "What are they saying in the class group?" Sun Yen unscrewed the bottle cap and took a sip of water. "They think they did well on the exam." Mother let out a sigh of relief. "What about you?" Sun Yen thought for a moment. No, this was the truth. The moment the college entrance exam ended, very few people truly knew how well they had done. She only knew that she had written everything she could, done everything she was capable of, and what she couldn't. She hadn't left to a pair of glasses to spout nonsense. Her father said from the side, "Don't think about it now that the exam is over. Let's go home and eat." Sun Yen nodded, withdrew her gaze, and followed her parents toward the parking lot. On the third day after the college entrance exam ended, the Class 3 group chat was even livelier than before the exam. Lin Ji first posted a photo of coffee, with the black-rimmed glasses placed beside the rim of the cup, captioned, "Technology changes fate." Lu Chen immediately liked it and commented, waiting for the results. A few boys in the back row followed with a barrage of comments. "This time, it's really solid. I flew through the math multiple-choice questions. For the first time feeling that the college entrance exam was this easy. The English reading was solid too. The AI broke down the words so meticulously. I wrote my essay about the tides of the era, the burning of youth, and the empowerment of technology. I feel like even the greater would have to stand up after reading it." Zhao Hang took a long time before finally sending a single line. "I still think hardly doesn't mean diligently." The group chat went silent for a second. Then someone replied, "Why are you still hung up on this?" Lu Chen also posted, "Zhao Hang, your biggest problem is that you don't trust the tools." Lin Ji, the college entrance exam is over. Stop spreading anxiety. Zhao Hang said nothing more. Sun Yen saw this and left the group chat. She hadn't estimated her scores these past few days. She just ate, slept, accompanied her mother to buy groceries, and occasionally flipped through a few pages of a book. Her mother, afraid she might be nervous, always avoided mentioning the college entrance exam. Her father was even more dramatic. If the word exam appeared in the TV news, he would immediately change the channel. Sun Yen, however, was calmer than both of them. She knew she wasn't a god. And she also knew that the college entrance exam wouldn't suddenly become a paper she could answer perfectly just because she had been reborn. But at least she understood one thing: every answer on the answer sheet was written by her own hand. Even if it was wrong, it was her own mistake, not some pair of glasses spouting nonsense on her behalf. On the morning of the score release, the system was so jammed that it was impossible to log in. Messages kept popping up in the Class 3 group chat. "Did you find it?" "Not yet." The page crashed. "My hands are shaking." Lin Ji must have gotten into Tsinghua or Peking University. Right. Lu Chen's math score must have exploded. He said he finished the multiple-choice questions in seconds. Lin Ji didn't say anything. And neither did Lu Chen. Half an hour later, the group chat suddenly fell silent. This silence was more frightening than the flood of messages. A few more minutes passed, and someone sent a question mark. No one replied. A little while later, the boy in the back row sent a message. "Did I check the wrong results?" Then, he sent a screenshot of his scores. His total was over 180 points lower than his usual mock exam results. The group chat fell silent, as if someone had pressed the mute button. A few seconds later, messages exploded. "Did you enter the wrong admission ticket number?" "Impossible." "Right. Why is your math score so low? Didn't you say AI was a sure thing?" The person replied in despair. "I have no idea either. It gives a confidence level for every question. The lowest is 89. The first to break down was Lu Yuan. After checking his score, he sat in front of the computer for a long time without moving. His math score was more than 60 points lower than usual. Later, when the teacher helped them estimate their scores. He realized that the answer to the fourth question was indeed D. He had originally calculated it correctly, but he himself changed it to B. Lu Yuan took out the draft paper he had rewritten after the exam, stared at it for a long time, and suddenly tore it to pieces. I actually knew it. This sentence is even more painful than I don't know how. Not knowing, at least you admit it. Knowing. But being led astray by a pair of glasses, that's the real joke. Sun Chi also broke down. English was originally her strongest subject. But during that exam, even though she knew hardly didn't mean with great effort, she couldn't help glancing at the explanation in the lenses. By the time she read further, she had even forgotten what the first paragraph of the passage was about. Zhao Heng grew even more silent. He wasn't the most blindly trusting of AI, but he didn't take off his glasses. Nor did he trust himself. The group chat was in complete chaos. How is that possible? Could there be a problem with the grading system? Was there grade compression this year? Was the AI not in good shape that day? Can AI get nervous too? Lu Chen finally came out. Without posting a screenshot, only sending a line of text. What about the seller? Only then did everyone remember. Lu Chen frantically egged the seller. Come out and explain. Why is the score so low? Didn't you say high-level computing power was very stable? Are you giving us the low-end version? No one in the group replied. And the seller's profile picture was grayed out. Lu Chen clicked into the link again. The product was taken down. Customer service was unreachable. The payment page wouldn't load. And the so-called direct answer mode for college entrance exam special after-sales group had already been disbanded. In the first hour, they cursed the system. In the second hour, they cursed the seller. In the third hour, the seller went missing and the group chat was disbanded. So they finally remembered Sun Yan. Lin Ji posted a screenshot. Her total score was more than 230 points lower than usual. Her Chinese essay score was low. She got most of the math multiple choice questions wrong. And her English reading comprehension was nearly a disaster. Below it, there was only one sentence. Sun Yan, are you satisfied now? When Sun Yan saw this, she was at home checking her exam results. The page refreshed. And her score landed firmly at the upper end of her estimated range. It wasn't a miracle, but it was enough to get her into the school she wanted. When Mother saw the score, her eyes instantly reddened. Father double-checked it 3 times beside her. This is the total score. Right. I'm not seeing things. Am I? Sun Yan nodded. You're not seeing things. The mother held her. Her voice choked. That's great. Sun Yan leaned on her mother's shoulder and closed her eyes. Her phone was still vibrating. Beneath Lin Ji's message, are you satisfied now? The whole class started flooding the chat again. Sun Yan must have known all along. She deliberately chose not to report it. What good is a single reminder? She could have gone to the teacher. She just wanted to see us make fools of ourselves. Sun Yan didn't reply. She took a screenshot of the grades page, saved it, then silenced her phone and went downstairs with her parents to buy a cake. Before the disciplinary notice came down, Class 3 had already had a big argument. Lu Yuan cursed Lu Chen. I had that problem right in the first place. But you all kept saying AI couldn't be wrong. Sun Chi, with red-rimmed eyes, said, I knew exactly what the hard leaf meant. But Lin Ji said not to question the AI. Lin Ji's face was pale, but she still held her ground. Now you're blaming me. Back when the transfers were made, wasn't every one of you doing it willingly? Lu Chen was even more annoyed. Everyone shut up. The most important thing now is to figure out how to fix this. But they soon realized that arguing among themselves would lead nowhere. Because each of them could find some fault in others and also some guilt in themselves. So they thought of Sun Yan again. The most convenient, cleanest person who never has to admit they were wrong. A month later, the school notified some students from Class 3 to return for an investigation. That morning, the sky was low and overcast. As soon as Sun Yan arrived at school, she saw a crowd gathered in front of the bulletin board. Lin Ji stood at the very front, her face pale as death. Lu Chen was beside her, his eyes bloodshot. Behind them were the classmates who had once stood on the rooftop in their past lives. This time, they weren't wearing graduation gowns, nor holding wine glasses in their hands. Instead, they clutched disciplinary notices. The investigation results came faster and were harsher than they had expected. The Provincial Education Examination Authority took the lead. With the cooperation of the public security organs, radio management departments, and relevant agencies, tracing an AI cheating device supply chain back to their class. The clues were not complicated abnormal signal records, exam site video replays, device transaction flows, payment screenshots, chat logs, and the seller's back-end records of Lu Chen handling payments, organizing debugging, and forwarding the seller's instructions were all there. Not a single one missing. Screenshots of Lin Ji promoting technical opportunities in the group chat were also all there. Not a single one missing. And Sun Yan's reminder. Bringing devices with filming, internet, or information receiving capabilities into the exam hall constitutes cheating. That reminder, buried in a screen full of mockery, stood out as particularly glaring. When the verdict came down, someone burst into tears on the spot. Examination results of students involved in cheating will be cancelled, and those with serious violations will be banned from national education exams for 3 years, with relevant cheating information recorded in their integrity files. Lu Chen, as the group buying organizer and payment collector, is under key investigation. After reading the notice, Lin Ji felt as if she had been drained completely. When her family arrived at the school, they nearly fainted at the office door. How could this happen? Didn't they say nothing was found? Didn't they say it was just glasses? The results are already out. How can they still be cancelled? The staff member only asked one question. Were the glasses you brought into the exam room ordinary glasses? No one answered. Lin Ji cried and said, "But we didn't get the correct answers." The staff looked at her. "So you admit, you originally intended to take the answers?" Lin Ji froze. Lu Chen wanted to explain further. "We were just studying AI technology." The staff member turned a page of the document. Learning AI technology doesn't require taking it into the college entrance exam hall. After these words fell, the office fell completely silent. All excuses nailed to the desk as if pinned in place. Coming out of the office, Lin Ji caught sight of Sun Yan at a glance. She suddenly found an exit and rushed over like crazy. Sun Yan. Sun Yan stopped in her tracks. Lin Ji grabbed her arm, her fingertips trembling pale. "You knew this would happen all along, didn't you?" Sun Yan lowered her head, looking at her hand. In her past life, it was this same hand that didn't reach out to her. Lu Chen rushed over, his voice hoarse. "Sun Yan, you could have reported it. You could have made a big deal out of it like last time. Why didn't you do anything this time?" The words "like last time" made the expressions of those around them shift, and Lin Ji froze for a moment as well. Sun Yan suddenly smiled, very faintly. "Last time." Lu Chen seemed to realize he had let something slip, his face turning ugly as he gritted his teeth and said, "I mean, knowing your personality, you would definitely report it." Lin Ji also caught on and immediately cried out, "What good is a single reminder? Couldn't you have warned us more? Couldn't you have stopped us?" The surrounding classmates chimed in. "Exactly. You knew the consequences were this serious. You must be pretty pleased watching us get our scores cancelled, aren't you? 3 years banned from the college entrance exam. Sun Yan, are you satisfied now? You wanted to see us ruined from the very beginning." Zhao Heng suddenly said in a low voice. "She did remind me." Lin Ji whipped her head around. "What are you pretending to be a good person for now?" Zhao Heng's face paled, but in the end, he lowered his head, just like in his past life. He knew every time that it was wrong, yet every time he only dared to know. Sun Yan slowly withdrew her arm. She took out her phone and opened the folder not participating. The first screenshot was the reminder she had posted in the group chat. Bringing devices with camera, internet, and information receiving capabilities into the exam hall constitutes cheating. She turned her phone toward them. "I warned you." Lin Ji cried even harder. What kind of reminder is just one sentence supposed to be? Sun Yen scrolled down. The second screenshot was Lu Chen's reply. Sun Yen. Can you stop scaring everyone with your ordinary person's mindset? The third one is Lin Ji. If you want to rely on yourself to take the exam. No one is stopping you. But please don't ruin the whole class's technical opportunity. The fourth one is the whole class spamming the screen. She's just afraid we'll surpass her. In the age of AI. If you still study rigidly. You deserve to be left behind. If she doesn't want to buy it. Fine. But don't hold the whole class back. Sun Yen flipped through them one by one. The voices around gradually faded. Some looked away. Others lowered their heads. Zhao Hang stood at the back of the crowd, saying nothing more. Sun Yen put away his phone. Lin Ji was still crying. Can't you just meddle one more time? Sun Yen looked at her. I have saved someone before. Lin Ji's face turned pale. What nonsense are you talking about? Lu Chen also froze. Sun Yen did not explain, simply looking at the familiar faces before her. Only later did I realize that you didn't need to be saved. You just needed a scapegoat. She put away her phone. In this life, I will only remind you once. The remaining questions. You will answer yourselves. As for the consequences, you will bear them yourselves. The air felt frozen solid. Wind swept past the bulletin board. Lifting a piece of scrap paper from the ground, Lu Chen gritted his teeth. Don't play innocent. You hate us. Sun Yen looked at him. In her past life. This was the same expression he had when he pushed her down. Sun Yen's voice was very soft. Yes. So I'll stay far away from all of you. As these words fell, everyone fell silent. Sun Yen didn't look at them anymore and walked out of the crowd. Behind him, some were crying. Some were cursing. Some collapsed on the ground. And some finally began to regret. A few days later, Sun Yen received the admission letter. The paper was thick, with a red cover, and his name was clearly printed on it. Mother read the admission letter over and over again, while father stood on the balcony, secretly wiping the corners of his eyes several times. Sun Yen placed the admission letter into a transparent file folder, together with the college entrance exam admission ticket. The cicadas outside the window were loud. And the summer heat felt endless. She opened her phone. The Class 3 group had been silent for a long time. The last message stopped at a line sent by Lu Chen. Is there any way to appeal? No one replied. A few seconds later, a system notification suddenly popped up in the group. Zhao Hang left the group chat. Then the second, the third, the fourth. The group that was once flooded with phrases like AI era, technological opportunities, and Tsinghua and Peking University are guaranteed finally emptied out little by little. Sun Yen turned off the phone. The cicadas outside the window are still loud. Summer is not over yet.